Hola a todos, welcome back to MetaFit MetaMind podcast, a podcast in which speakers, leaders, entrepreneurs, and influencers come in and share their journey on how they've gotten to this place in their life while also normalizing those conversations between mental and physical health and wellness. I am Carla Rodriguez, your coach and trainer of NLP and host of this podcast, and I created this space to remind you to raise your voice and share your story. And as your guide, I am here to create a pathway to let go of all those limiting chains behind and use this platform to empower and create awareness, purpose, and expansion in your life. You can follow us on Instagram at MetaFit MetaMind Podcast, or you can follow me at Coach Carlita. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This week's been a little slower in terms of events, but there are still some really exciting things and updates that I want to share with you and all the things that are happening in MetaFit MetaMind. So the first thing is that I'm officially announcing my next masterclass. It's happening on May 30th, and it's all about hypnosis. I had originally scheduled it for a previous week, but there's some family things that we are attending, so it is going to be May 30th, so be ready for that. And if you've been curious about what hypnosis actually is, not what Hollywood makes it look like, but the real, powerful, grounded work that helps you rewire your thoughts and deepen your connection to yourself, then this is for you. We're going to talk about how it works, what it is not, how it does not work, and how you can start using it on your own in your life or work. The link to register is going to be in the show notes, so go check that out after this episode, okay? I'm also super excited to share that the first official hypnosis certification training is happening this November. It's going to be the 14th through the 16th. It's the first cohort, yo, and it's so exciting. There's something special being part of this original group. And so if you're someone who's curious about how to help others to go deeper, move past those blocks and step into your real transformation through language and the unconscious mind, this is the right room for you. That's right. And yes, something amazing is in the works as well with Women Without Limits movement. We're bringing the Power Summit this September, and we've locked in a venue. It's so exciting. More details are coming soon as I get them, but just know that it's going to be a total full body, yes, kind of experience. It's going to be a 1 day experience. That's as much as I know right now. Yes, I'm on the board, but we're getting all the details. So, if you want to know more about Women Without Limits movement and you want to donate, you want to be part of volunteers, let me know. Send me a message and I will give you all that information as well because you could be part of this experience. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could leave a review, share it with someone, or just tap that follow or subscribe button. It's going to really help the show grow and show up on more platforms like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast episodes. So let's talk about today's guest. I'm so honored to share with you and introduce you to Hien Nguyen. We were connected through a mutual friend, and from the first conversation I had, I could tell that there was something powerful about him, a powerful story, a life changing story. He has lived through things most of us couldn't even imagine. And not only did he survive this time, but he's also turned that experience into a purpose. He is a writer, a family man, and someone with deep insight and quiet strength. You would not guess what he's been through just by meeting him, but his story is one of resilience, of healing, and the kind of perspective that stays with you long after you hear it. So, he has his book coming soon, and while I don't know the exact release date, I know it's going to be something special. I can't wait to get my hands on that book. And so with that being said, let's get into today's episode. All right. Thank you so much for being here on MetaFit MetaMind podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode because I have someone very special who grew up in an interesting time and he has so much insight and inspiration and knowledge and wisdom. Thank you so much, Hien, for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, and at first I wasn't sure, what your story was about. But once I heard that you are working on a book, I was like, yeah, I have to have him on. I think he's someone that we need to hear from and that, like I said, we can learn from. So let me start with this question with you. In your words, in your own thoughts, or like, how things have gone in your life. Who is Hien?
That is the reason why I asked you when you send me the question. That's a tough question.
It is, but I
Because
love it.
actually, I look at it every thing. I look at it in a philosophy way. So the question, who you are, in terms of philosophy, that's a tough. Sometimes I ask myself that question. But anyway, I look into it. Go down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am just a normal person, and I travel through a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of the adversity, including hunger, poverty, and I keep learning and keep evolving.
So it sounds like you're a human who is constantly, like you said, evolving and learning and probably curious about life, which I think is great with people in this space of humanity, right? That we stay constantly open to change and growth and, like you said, learning. So, you just mentioned a few things of having gone through poverty and a lot of that kind of thing. So what's that journey that has brought you to this point in your life? Like, what was that moment in your life, or that page turn, or that thing that has brought you to here?
That is a very long story,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll try to summarize it. If you need more, just ask me, and
We'll
if you
do a
need to
part two if we
cut
need to.
cut it off, then cut it off. So quickly, I grew up during and after Vietnam War. Briefly, Vietnam was divided in two parts, the North and the South, in 1955 under the
Okay.
Geneva Convention. So the
Okay.
North is controlled by the communists. The South is supported by the U.S. government. So unfortunately, I belong to the South.
Okay.
And in 1975, the North took over the country. They won the war.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my dad was in army, high rank officer. So he moved around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The family followed.
Mm-hmm.
So
And he was
I
in the
grew up
army for the US or for Vietnam?
from Vietnam, the
Okay.
South. Yeah,
Okay.
and then the
Oh yeah,
South
because you said you were part
Army.
of the South, right? The South
Yes,
Territory. Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the South was supported by the U.S. government. I followed him. I grew up hearing the bomb, hearing the shells through the night. And after that, the war over. I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
My dad was sent to prison.
Wow. By the
Uh,
North.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yes. Everyone has to go. My dad
Mm-hmm.
is high rank. So
Yeah.
they said that a month. So he said, yeah, let's go, get it done, and
Mm-hmm.
start a new life. And 1 month turned out into 10 years.
Wow. And so during all these 10 years, your dad was in prison?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And where were you and your siblings, your
Uh,
mom?
I have seven siblings, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am the oldest. I was 11 then.
So you had to be the leader. You had to step up.
Yes. So, you know, uh, we didn't have anything,
Mm-hmm.
nothing at all. My mom, she was just a household, so she didn't have any career or it
Mm-hmm.
didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents and my uncle, they were teachers, so
Okay.
they didn't know what to do. They
Yeah.
couldn't do business or do anything, so we went to the countryside to do farming. That's
Okay.
the easiest thing that we thought that it should be.
Yeah. And how, during these 10 years, you essentially were the leader of your siblings, helping your mom, all of this. Like, what did you have to keep telling yourself to keep, I guess, strong for your family? Because you were
To be
11 when this
honest,
happened, right?
yes, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, at that time I didn't think much. 11 years old, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know much, but things just keep moving and flowing, and it just trained me to become tougher and tougher.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through a lot of. We were poor, to
Yeah.
be honest. We were at the bottom. Hunger for so long, for so many years. We never
Mm-hmm.
have enough food to eat.
Yeah. So
We
did
didn't
you have
have.
to go days without eating and things like that, or?
Basically, yes, just like that. And then, basically anything we can,
Mm-hmm.
anything moving.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I put in my book, snake, rat,
Wow. So you
cricket.
hunted too,
Yes, yes. So the day it just
essentially.
evolved around, getting something to eat.
Yeah.
Snake, toad, frog, fish. We
Uh-huh.
fish too, and then do farming.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been working so hard for all those years, and then the 10 years happen. What is it that you start doing different, or what happens next after that? After all that farming,
Yes.
all that like poverty, and what's crazy is that so many things happen in life, and you have kept resilient. So 10 years comes around. Does your dad get released, or like what happens at that point?
Yeah, he was released after 10 years, but actually we were in countryside until 1982.
Mm-hmm.
I left and I
Mm-hmm.
went to the city, to Saigon. Saigon is the capital of the South.
Okay.
I went there to start, because up to when I was 17 or so, I start thinking, what am I gonna do here?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Can't do
there's
much
nothing I can
here.
do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I stopped school at eighth grade. But then back into that time, I said, I and actually there's a friend of mine. He was a teacher who was assigned to that countryside to
Mm-hmm.
teach. We become friends, very close. One day he told me that you don't belong here,
Yeah.
and it just clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that I don't belong here.
So
I
you
can't do
woke up
farming.
to that.
I had been thinking about it,
Yeah.
but that is just the last. You know,
Like, it took someone to like say, "Hey,
yes,
you can get out of
exactly.
here, huh?"
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so you went
So
to
in
Saigon, and then what did you do there? Like, this guy who's been
it
working so hard in the farm, and now you're going into city life.
actually, before that, my mom left. My mom was there, so
Oh, okay.
she had a cafe,
Mm-hmm.
just a small cafe, just for the laborer. You
Uh-huh.
know, like
Yeah.
tiny. It's not, when we talk about a cafe, you think about something like nice, and no, just for the laborer there.
Okay.
In a very complicated area in Saigon.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there to help first. And back into that time, a lot of people, you heard about boat people, they
Mm-hmm.
tried to escape Vietnam. So I tried. I tried. The first time I got caught, and it was
Yeah.
I was put in jail for 6 months because I was like young, and I was
Wow.
very little. I didn't have
Yeah.
enough food, so I was very tired. I was like 18, 19 then, but I said that I'm 15. So
Yeah.
they just kept me for 6 months,
Okay.
and they
So they
released.
didn't even check anything. They were like they
Back then
believed
there's
you.
nothing they cannot. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing they
There was
don't
no
even care. Or,
confirmation.
there's nothing. No ID. No driver license
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then. So checking is no, they don't
Mhm.
care anyway, because there were so many people escaping anyway. So
Yeah.
that okay, they just caught you and they put you in jail. But
Where were you trying to escape to?
back then we just tried to get out of the international water,
Oh,
and
okay.
then hopefully that's what we hope. Hopefully, some fishing boats can
Mm.
from Thailand or Malaysia,
Okay.
something like that, and help us to get out of Vietnam.
Oh my
We
God.
just
So you didn't really
wanted
have
to.
like a specific
No,
route. You just
of
were
course not.
hoping
No.
that someone will catch me.
Yes, that's why if you have ever heard of that, like they every time you escape, it's like 20% you
Mm-hmm.
will get off
Yeah.
or you get caught.
Yeah.
or the boat sink. So just
Gosh.
like 5% successful
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah. So before we even keep going, let me go back. I wanted to quickly ask about, your dad and when he got out, like, what was that relationship like between you and him? Like him coming back, was everybody like really obviously happy, but his experience coming back too, like in your
Uh,
perspective.
you know, my dad is not good,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He he was abusive physically and mentally. He was a gambler. He was a womanizer.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So all the good things.
Yeah.
He had it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, even before that, the relationship between him and myself was not that good.
Okay.
But I hope at that time, I hope after 10 years he should have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But he did not.
Mm-hmm.
He become even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what we don't
So
realize is we don't talk enough about being the family member of a military person or someone who's been at war, that we see some of the I feel like we're on the tips of like on tippy toes, walking around them, we're on eggshells because we don't know if either something we're gonna say or something we do will make them react. And, there's work that they also need to do that they don't realize, hey, like this is your experience. We acknowledge it and can you work on it? But we don't always want to ask them that because they're not necessarily ready. And it's unfortunate that we love them so much that sometimes we just deal with it. And so for
that's right.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, and so did he stay at the farm like where y'all were
No,
farming or
back
he
into that
also
time, we
went?
moved. We
Mm-hmm.
moved when he came back. We
Mm-hmm.
moved to a different countryside.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because the one that we had before is really, really like remote. It's from like
Yeah.
from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's not no civilization at all.
It was just y'all, just your family.
It's just my family and a few more villagers,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
locals there, and we have no power, no electricity, no nothing.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like
Oh my
that's why I
gosh.
put in
Yeah.
my book picture of me, myself, the
Yeah.
boat, the river, the field, and the forest.
Yeah.
That's it. You have
Yeah.
nothing. To make it easy for you to understand, until 19, I didn't even know that there is something called underwear.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it until
Yeah, I
I
mean,
go
you
to
don't know what
Saigon.
you don't know, right?
Of course, that is just like I said, that is not in my dictionary.
What a change for you to like you don't know what underwear is like even in the dictionary, but then having to go to this like city life society that does like the comfort or maybe uncomfort of that as well.
There was one time I
Uh-huh.
went to the city.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather needs something there, so I went there. I was like
Okay.
17.
Yeah.
I went there, and I suddenly felt that something odd, and I
Ah.
look around, and I didn't wear the slipper.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I look
Yeah.
around. What's wrong
What
with
is
me?
this?
So
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
how you know
There's so much. So
it
at some
is.
point you did get to escape. Or was it more opportunity for you to leave when you did finally leave?
I did not. I was not successful
Mm-hmm.
in the first attempt. I tried several times more,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't get through.
Yeah.
So until 1992, the whole family, we went under the HO program. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if you are familiar with that program. HO is a program designed by the U.S. government. H is a humanitarian
Uh-huh.
always organization.
Okay.
So the U.S. government tried to help all the people like my dad,
Mm-hmm.
the one that are in the army and work
Yeah.
alongside with the U.S. government. So the whole family, we came here in
Okay.
1992, the whole
So that
family.
was finally your
That
chance
is
to leave.
finally, yes.
Yeah. And so since then to now, like what's that constant change or the journey for you to now choosing to write your book? How did you know that you were ready to write this book?
I thought about it. It's not really, I never thought about it because I
Mm-hmm.
think, I don't have the ability to write, and, I
Mm-hmm.
was lazy, and plus, I was busy, and, I came here when I was almost 30 already. So all
Mm-hmm.
my times into studying, I went back to college, and then after that, I got a
Wow.
job, and
Yeah.
I started my family when I was 40 already. So I
Yeah.
didn't have time to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one day I was meeting a customer of mine. He was a close friend too.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to him about whatever I've been telling you, and he said, you should write a book.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know about that, but and then that
It stayed
idea
in your
just keep
mind, huh?
stay in my mind.
He planted a
Uh,
seed.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So one day I was in a hotel, very high-end hotel, for a business trip.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in Tampa Bay. And I was sitting in the bar outside, and next to the water, I saw the boat, and I listened to the water tapping on the
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
And suddenly the memory came back from the
Yeah.
time I was in the countryside,
Incredible.
fishing, and the sampan that I stay
Mm-hmm.
on it, and it's a click, and
Mm-hmm.
then
It was time.
it was time.
Yeah.
I was drinking, very expensive liquor, and eating steak, and
Like
I
a
suddenly
whiskey
think,
or something.
to be honest, I am a connoisseur, so
Uh-huh.
I love drinking, and I know a lot, and I drink, and it's expensive, and
Yeah.
steak and everything.
Yeah.
And I said, and I, when the memory came back, I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink anything else. I just felt so bad.
And so let me ask you this. What business got you into being able to drink this expensive drink and this steak? Like, what did you start for
I think,
yourself?
first of all, I think it's just me. I
Yeah.
am the one who enjoy, and who know how to taste,
Yes.
expensive wine and
Yeah.
expensive liquor. And I was in sales, so
Okay.
I had to take customer out.
Mm-hmm.
So that the two thing
Yes.
meet, and
Yeah.
creating the
And like an
opportunity for me
experience.
to enjoy.
And so, so you said that you started your family essentially like in your 40s and your college, your education, learning the ways of the US right after you moved and going to school. What was that impact for you there?
What do you mean by the impact?
Yeah,
I
like
don't
what was
quite
something
understand.
how did you know that you were gonna pursue? Because some people, so I'll tell you from the perspective of what I not necessarily experienced myself, but my family, right? They moved from El Salvador and Honduras to the U.S. and they came to do just continued to do the labor, the manual labor,
I
and
understand.
not go to school. So for you, how did you know that
Uh,
I'm gonna do college or I'm gonna do education of some
I
kind?
see. I see. Because, like I said, all my family,
Mm-hmm.
the background, my grandfather, my
Oh, you did say, yeah, they were teachers,
yeah,
right?
they were our teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we are kind of in an educational
Mm-hmm.
family.
Yes.
So I think that's already in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that. So of course, I don't want
You
to
had the
go
example.
came here and start doing labor. It's already there because I've
Yeah.
seen my father, I've seen my uncles, I've seen my grandfather. They are
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah. So
So
you
I
had the
think
examples. You had someone to model.
yes, exactly,
That's awesome.
exactly.
That's really
Yeah,
awesome because
yeah,
I have questioned many times like people come to this country for opportunity to do something different and sometimes they don't use that opportunity. So I think it's so amazing that you did. I mean, you had the models, right? You had the great examples of someone's already doing the education or
yeah.
the education
Exactly. Yes,
teaching,
yes,
right? But for
yeah.
you, like
Like
you
a
chose to still follow
yeah,
a path that allowed
yeah,
you to get your education.
yeah. That's why I said, even when I was the countryside, I already feel that, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like my friend told me, you don't belong here. Back into
This.
that time, I know that, I'm not here.
Yeah.
I don't belong here.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now that you've been in the US You know that this is where you belong, right?
To be honest,
For you in your life, for you in your life.
uh, until up to this time, I think yes, I am grateful that I am here.
Mhm.
But up to this point, I think I can be anywhere,
Yeah.
and I can still be happy.
So
Any
cool.
circumstances, uh, any condition, I can be happy.
Yeah.
So that is the main thing that I want to share here.
Yeah.
Why I got into that stage.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you started writing your book
Yes.
and you couldn't finish that food, that steak, that drink, and you had those feelings. And then now that you've been working on this book, do you feel like you found more happiness, purpose, like this ability to have those feelings? I'm not sure if you
Oh
had them
yes,
before, but do you feel
yes.
like you access it more easily?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in this process, right? Because part of this podcast is that we talk about those conversations that are really hard to talk about, right? The taboo, which no longer taboo, we're making them normal, about mental and physical health, how that correlates and how that played out in your life. So for you, how did that mental health, physical health, even emotional health, how has that played out in your life and your journey?
Uh, you know, through all those ups and downs and the poverty, the hunger,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and now we are here in the abundance. It
Yeah.
is too much food, and for quite some time, I look at it, and I think that maybe too much is not good either.
Right.
There's one chapter in my book. The chapter title is Too Little and Too Much.
Yeah.
When I was back then, there's too little,
Yeah.
and now there's too much.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes I ask myself which one is worse, and I
Yeah.
think both of them are worst.
Yeah. I
You
think it
know
reminds me of the story of the girl, the family of the bears, where the little girl Goldilocks, she went into their house and she tried one soup. She's like, "Oh, this is too little," and then she had another one. It was like, "Oh, it's too much," and then she would say, "Oh, this one's just right, right." And I think it's this interesting
that is
balance.
exactly, yes, how you balance, but it's
Hmm.
not easy. It's not easy. How can
Yeah.
you can balance it? You
Hmm.
never know. Yeah, maybe too little, you can feel it right away, but too much, you don't know. You never know
Yeah.
how much is too much.
Yeah.
For example, you have like 10, 15, 20 pair of shoes. Is it too many yet?
Hmm.
You may not think
Yeah,
it
right.
is
How do we
too much.
know?
How do we know?
Because
So
it changes per person.
we have to really sit down and think. If you don't think, you don't have time to process all the things that are attacking you every day. You don't know how much is too much.
Yeah.
So for me, I constantly looking and thinking, reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I learned, and this is what I want to share. In our life, suffering is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone who said that I'm extremely happy. I don't have to suffer anything.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering is everywhere.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we cannot avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is how we have to learn how to suffer better.
Interesting perspective. How can we suffer better? What can we
Yes,
learn along that process of that?
exactly.
As you put it, suffering. A lot of times I think I put it as a challenge, like this challenge that I am so uncomfortable with. How can I deal with this, right? Because we're in that moment. We're in that moment of it happening. And sometimes it's so hard to see outside of this field of view that we have of like, I am suffering right now. So I like that. How do we do it better?
So this is what I've been thinking, and this is what I've learned. So
Hmm.
now every time when I suffer, right, when I was in back in the Vietnam in the countryside,
Hmm.
I didn't have anything to eat. So I just talked to my grandmother. We were very close. So I talked to
Oh,
my grandmother. I said, oh, why us? Why us that we have to suffer this?
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, when you look up, everyone is better than you. They have houses, they have food, they have everything. But when you look down, a lot more people are suffering. We are bad, but some people is in much worse situation than you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't look up. Just look into what you have. We
Yeah.
don't have a lot to eat, but we still have something to eat. We still have a house. And some people they don't have it. And she said, one of the homily that she heard from a priest. Some
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Oh, I don't have a shoe to wear. I just have a few pair of shoes."
Mm-hmm.
The priest said that think about someone they don't even have a foot or feet to wear shoe. Think about that, right? So that just clicked, and that just keep going with me. Every time you know I have to face some adversity, some suffering. I just look at what I have. Because actually, if you look at what you have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we just look up. We just look at someone has a bigger house or a nicer car. But some people doesn't even have a car to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you a story. Even me, sometime in here when I was in the US, right? Uh, we still don't have a house yet. For some reason, we
Yeah.
just failed and we didn't have a house. So every time I just drive my son to the practice tennis. I
Yeah.
saw, a big community, nice house,
Yeah.
and said, oh, this beautiful house.
Yeah.
I wish we had one like that. And then one day, I saw a guy from that community.
Yeah.
He walked out and his son was an autistic or, cerebral disease.
Uh-huh.
He just, stood down like this and, the dad just pushing the cart. He bent down, he talked to the little boy. Of course, the little boy can't talk,
Yeah.
he's autistic and he was sick.
Yeah.
So then I look at my son. He's teasing me. I said, if he had to exchange that house for a son like my son sitting next to me, he probably do it right away without thinking. And I'm having it right here. So that's why I said, if you look at what you have a lot. I have it
Yes.
right here. And
Mm-hmm.
that is that guy's dream. And his dream could never be coming true. And I have it right here next to me. I
Yeah.
can touch it right here.
This is heavy.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah.
if you look at what you have a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
if you look for what you don't have, then you don't have it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like I remember growing up and my aunt worked for this. She used to be a model back in her day. And my aunt used to work with her in Beverly Hills. She would clean her house, take care of her house, her pets and everything. This lady would be so I don't want to say unfair. She would behave in a way that wasn't treating my aunt super well. But she lived in such a nice house in Beverly Hills, and she lived alone. And a lot of times in that area, there was times where we would take field trips to go see these mansions. Like, oh my God, look at this house. Oh my God, look what these people have. Oh wow, these rich people, right? And I think sometimes when, like you said, we're looking up or we're looking for that bigger house or that bigger car, we have to be careful of that feeling behind it, right? Is it envy? Is it like, oh, like hate? Or like what is it? Or instead, can we say, oh, like they have that house. I'm glad they have that house. Unfortunately for that guy, his son is autistic, and so there's a lot to deal with emotionally there. And so, like you said, we have to be grateful. And the one thing that, like you had and have, is a healthy son. And I think that's one of the biggest wealthy things we can have is our health,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
more than
Yeah.
the material
Absolutely.
things.
especially we are living in a material life here,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the US and even now in Vietnam.
Yes.
Everything is material. Bigger
Mm-hmm.
house,
The
bigger car,
brands.
flashy car, this
Yeah.
brand, that brand, this
Mm-hmm.
shoe, that shoe. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So we just forgot that, about the spiritual life.
Yeah. And I think we got to bring it back to that. Exactly. The spirit, like our emotion. And I think that's how we're going to be able to find that too little or too much and maybe find that somewhat, right? It won't be perfect, but maybe
For
we'll find
me,
it in between there.
yeah, if, I think that, finding the between, what it's called, there's terminology for it, the middle way.
Yes.
That's the term in Buddhism. They said that the middle way is
Oh,
where, right there, where it is
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
But, up to a point that, for me, everything is good. I have something nice, a nice car, that is good. I don't have any car, that's good. I have an old car, that's good. Until the point that everything, we accept everything
Mm-hmm.
happily.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there's one guy, American classical guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
His name's uh, last name is Pockening. Oh, Christopher Pockening.
Okay.
Uh, he's been playing guitar and recital and performance here and there. He's a very good you know position.
Guitarist. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but yeah, famous too. And he's just, I just hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. All I want now is just go to the countryside and the fishing and
Yeah.
waking up and nobody. And
Nobody
that's what he
bother
did.
me.
Yeah, because he has the ability to do it. So he
Mm-hmm.
did it. He went to Montana, bought a ranch. Every morning, just go fishing and
Yeah.
riding horse.
Yeah.
After a year,
Yeah.
he came back. I can't live like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because he had it, and then
Yeah.
he wants something else, and
Mm-hmm.
then he got it too. That's why he came back, and what he said: "Be
Yeah.
careful what you dream. You may
Yes.
get it someday. What you think that is your dream may not be your dream. It may not, because you keep dreaming, and if you keep dreaming, you will never be at peace."
Mm-hmm. So how would you say is maybe your way of finding some peace when you find yourself looking for those dreams?
Uh, to be honest, just try to be happy with whatever you have.
Yeah.
Try
Do
to
you
be happy with.
meditate? Do you pray? Do you like journal?
I am not religious.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I stopped believing in God
Mm-hmm.
when I was like late teen.
Yeah.
So I never go to church or anything. But I consider myself spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
I meditate.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do a lot of thinking,
Yeah.
reflecting every day.
Yeah. So you meditate and you reflect within yourself, which I think is really important. We don't
Correct.
have to be like the religious or choose one specific thing. I think as long as it works for you and it's peace, it brings you peace. I think that's important there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I
we've been
agree.
talking about this, but tell me, because I want our listeners to know, because we've jumped around a little bit and that's okay because you have something coming, this project. Tell me about like are you able to share the title of the book? Do you have the title of the book? Like what's coming for
Uh,
Hien?
I don't have it yet.
Uh-huh.
I have a few options, but I'm not sure whether it is the one.
Uh-huh.
But I think I can share with you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the title that I'm thinking of is uh, "The Echo Within," because I'm
Mm.
reflecting whatever
Yeah.
happening to me,
Yeah. That's
surviving the
deep.
hunger, struggling abundance.
Yeah.
So the echo within, surviving hunger, struggling abundance.
Yeah.
So I survived the hunger, but I'm kind of struggling with the abundant life.
Right. Yeah. And so whenever he has the actual full title, when the book is going to launch, I will update you. And I know Ian's going to tell me when that happens so I can put it in one of the podcast updates. So I am excited for that to come out because I want to read it. I want to learn more in your experience because this isn't something that, I lived, my sister and my mom, they lived through a war, right? My sister was tiny, but I never lived through that. And so from me, it's like so important to learn about these historical moments, but more from the human, the person themselves versus just a historian. And I think this is going to be so, so, so magical. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing, parts of your story and how deep and emotional this got. I had to control myself to not cry um, because I got to be able to speak. But I am so grateful to you and this story. And let me ask you this. I think we may have touched on it, but one last thing. I didn't tell you about this question. What is something that you would want to teach someone that wants to learn from you?
Okay, I will use a saying that I think most people know about it,
Mm-hmm.
but not so many that really take time to think deep about it. Everything happened for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I reflect into my life. Maybe when the communists took over, yeah, it lay all the way until I am here. To
Mm-hmm.
be honest, back then in my time, my dad and my mom talk about if they had enough money after I graduate high school, they will send me to the US to study here. That is
Mm-hmm.
back into when I was like 9, 10,
Yeah.
11. It was not easy back then. That
Yeah.
is just like a dream for them.
Yeah.
But see, after that, everything happened.
Yes.
We all get on the plane and fly here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot along the way, paving the way to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, every time something happened, I said, oh, we don't know. It may be paving something to a different thing. That
Yeah.
is the story that my grandfather told me all the time. I just hated it back then because
Yeah, of course.
it is so hard, and he loved it. So he just told the story again and again. I'll
Yeah.
try to sum it up very quickly. There's a man who had a horse, very nice, beautiful horse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One day the horse just ran away. People, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Your beautiful horse just ran away. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. Maybe not. I don't know. And then a few weeks later, the horse came back with another horse, beautiful, bigger. And people, oh, I'm so happy for you. The horse came back, and then she brought another horse for you. I'm so happy for you. You are so lucky. He said, oh, we don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. So, and then his son, tried to train the horse, and, he was so happy, excited, and trained. And then he fell off the horse, and he broke his leg. So people, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Your son, your only son, and he's broke his leg. I said, oh, okay, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad thing. But, and then, when the two countries, the next country and his country uh, came into war, and then his son has a broken leg. He couldn't go to war. People die everywhere. So he said, see, we never know. The good thing may not be the good thing.
Yeah, we
The
never
bad
know.
thing, but you never know. Just accept it. It may be the bad thing, but that bad thing lead to a better thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that better thing, yeah, it's maybe lead to, we never know what's going to happen in our life. So just, embrace whatever you have. So now I'm living like very much, what is the word I put? In peace is, maybe a big word. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to use that, but I just like to accept everything.
Mm-hmm.
This thing come, accepted it. Oh, okay, that's fine. Good thing. Yeah, I'm happy, but not too crazy about it. Bad thing
Mm-hmm.
happen. Oh, okay, just take it easy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much that's helped me a lot. Because
Yeah.
like I said, earlier, suffering is inevitable. I don't know anyone who's not suffering. The
Yeah.
rich, you heard about a book or a movie titled "The Rich Also Cry." Because normally we talk about people, how lucky they are, how happy they are. We talk about material,
Mm-hmm.
right? We say, oh, uh, he's happy, he's lucky because he have a big house, big car, um, too much clothes and everything. But we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what they are suffering.
Yeah.
So everyone has to suffer. Like I said again, we all have to learn how to suffer better
Yeah. And everything happens for a reason, right?
for a reason.
Yeah. And so if somebody wanted to, connect with you and, get to know you, just create a connection, how can they find you?
To be honest with you, I
Can they
am
find you on
not
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. Yes, I do have LinkedIn. I am not a very social media guy.
Yeah.
I just created a Facebook, and
Okay.
LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn because
Cool.
I use it to
Yeah.
for my work,
Yeah.
to find
So
job or to connect with people. So yes, LinkedIn for
perfect.
now.
So I will include the links in the show notes of his Facebook and his LinkedIn if you want to connect with Hien. I just want to say how grateful I am to you for you being open to sharing your journey, your story, because it's not something easy. And let me tell you, whoever's listening or watching this, is it's emotional. If you just sit in and listen to his story and his emotion, because I really felt your emotion, it was deep. And I think this was something that we needed here. And I'm so grateful to you. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so sorry that I suddenly I feel so emotional.
I
So
loved it.
my expression and my speech is not that smooth, but that is what it is.
And I'm gonna say that you have that it is what it is thought process, but I love it. I love the rawness, the realness of it, of the emotion, of how you speak, of how it comes through, because that's what people need nowadays in humanity. We need to have that vulnerability, have that ability to really connect through this, right? And so I'm happy that you came in with this emotion. I'm happy that you came in with how you're speaking, how you sound, because that's the best thing about what I love about podcasting, and the fact that you get to share your story and it's not something made up, something that I heard and I'm just narrating it, right? Because emotions don't really come through that. And so, like I said, I'm excited for your book. I'm excited for all the good things happening to you, for you. Everything happens for a reason and it's happening for you. And I'm grateful to you. So, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah. Wow, what an emotional episode and conversation that this was with Hien. Before we end, this episode, there are two big takeaways that I think I got from this conversation, because there's so much, right, that we can learn from everybody. And I think I've said this one before. Gratitude, right? It's about gratitude, but it's not just about mindset. It's practice, right? Hien's story is a reminder that even when life gives us that bare minimum, or maybe even way too much sometimes, how we respond is important. Whether it was surviving hunger or navigating abundance, right? He stayed grounded in reflection and perspective. And that lesson of looking at what you do have instead of always reaching and reaching for what you don't, right? That really hits home. Like, when is enough enough, right? That's what I've said before. It's like, how do we know that we have what we want? How much are we going to dream? And yes, it's so important to dream big, but also, like I said, gratitude. And it's about practicing that. The second thing that he said that was kind of like interesting to me was that he said suffering is inevitable, but it's about how we suffer is a choice. Like, what does that word even mean to you, right? And so that part of our conversation at first was like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that, right? But It's like, how can I learn with this thought of his? And it's about learning how we suffer, how to suffer better, right? And it's a powerful reminder that it's about, for me, it's about the challenges, right? Those challenges, those hard moments in our life, they don't have to define us. It's how we move through them that does. Whether we resist it, how can we reflect, or do we surrender to this right now? And so we get to choose the quality of our experience, even in those hard moments, because we all go through them, right? So just remember that it's about how we do that, it's the choice of how we approach it. Now, before we go, I want you to remember that the hypnosis masterclass is happening May 30th. If you've been curious about what hypnosis actually is and how it works, this is your chance to experience it for yourself, and it's free to join. The link is going to be in the show notes. The first hypnosis certification training is coming this November. I'm just so excited to welcome the very first cohort into this space. Yo, come join me on this first one, right? If helping people rewire their thoughts and tap into deeper healing speaks to you, this might be for you. And the last thing is, yes, like, Women Without Limits movement is back with something big, the Power Summit. It's happening this September. More details are coming soon. Trust me, you're gonna want to be in this room. This one is gonna be so much fun. For one, I'll be there, and so is Ashton. So yeah. So if this episode has moved you in any way, it maybe made you pause or sparked something inside of you, I want you to share it with someone you love, rate it, subscribe to it, because it helps messages, especially this message, reach more people. And I appreciate every single one of you who tunes in. So thank you for listening to this episode up to this point. I am Carla Rodriguez. This is MetaFit MetaMind podcast, where we're having conversations that we would have never had. Until next time.